Howdy, my name is Mackenzie Franklin from SideGameLLC here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Today we're going to continue my top 100 games of all time, going from 80 to 71. Now let's go ahead and start the list right off with number 80. This is Raise Your Goblets. So Raise Your Goblets is a game that is very similar to Princess Bride, where you are going to be having these cups, dropping in poison, and trying to assassinate your target while keeping alive yourself. Now in Raise Your Goblets, I really enjoy that the cups are an actual integral part of the game and not just a gimmick. Well, they are definitely a gimmick, but they're very fun to use. You'll be dropping little beads in them and moving them around, and I also love that you have different characters with abilities that will allow you to manipulate the game in some special way. So I really like Raise Your Goblets as a really fun kind of deduction game. Very awesome. This is Raise Your Goblets. My number 79 is Cloud Age. Cloud Age is a relatively new game by Alexander Pfister. One of my favorite designers, as you'll see coming up. This is his most easy to get into game that has you kind of exploring a board and playing upgrades as some of his heavier ones let you do. So in this game, you will be moving around the board with your giant airship, participating in combats in order to upgrade your ship and restore the greenery to this dry wasteland. I really love the project cards in this game. It allows you to customize your ship and your abilities. And I really like the cost of the cards a lot. The cost of each card requires an amount of water in addition to another card. So whenever you play one, you have to discard another one, which is really cool because every time you play something, you have to think about if the card you're discarding is worth it. Like maybe you want to play that in the future. Maybe it's better to get more cards so you can discard them. So you're having all this like opportunity cost of, if I play this one, I'll never get to play that other card. And I really like that decision. I also really love the narrative aspect in this game and the story that unfolds. It's very minor, but it adds mechanisms in a nice, gentle way that everyone can really enjoy and dig their teeth into. So that's my number 79, Cloud Age. My number 78 is a Victorian game. This is Obsession. You play a wealthy family, and your job is to, attract the attention of the Fairchilds and get them to marry one of your daughters. So it's a pretty awesome theme. Not something I normally dip into, but it really works here, and I really enjoy it. This game is a fantastic mechanic-wise as well. It's a hand management game, a worker assignment game. Your workers, whenever you play cards, you'll assign workers to them and they'll take some time to refresh, and those cards will allow you to do all sorts of things. And my favorite part of the game is that cards, and some of the tiles and places you'll be using allow you to play multiple in the same turn. So it's really cool and really fun to kind of plan out this turn where you can play a whole bunch of cards and get a whole bunch of rewards in order to get the most prestige and get your children married off. So I really like Obsession. This is my number 78. My number 77 is one of my only abstract games on my list, and this is Azul. Azul came out a couple years ago, and it really hit hard. And it's got a lot of spin-offs now, but I still really like this original version. I've yet to play the spin-offs because I've been so satisfied with this one. Azul is a great game of drafting. So it uses what's called pool drafting, where you'll be taking pieces from a specific group, and then those pieces that you don't take will go into a central area. And every time you take pieces, which is my favorite part of this, you have to take all of the specific color. So it adds a really interesting decision of, man, I could get a single piece for that color I really need, or I could get a whole bunch of pieces for this one thing, or maybe I get a whole bunch of pieces, even though I only need one of them, and I'll lose some points, but it might be worth it. So it's really cool how you have to make those decisions because they're going to be gone by the next turn, or maybe they won't, and it might be worth waiting for that. So I really love Azul. It's beautiful. The pieces are great to touch, great to move around. They clock around. And it's a wonderful tile laying game. So this is Azul, my number 77. My number 76 is one I talk about a lot on this channel, and this is Atlantis Rising 2nd Edition. Atlantis Rising has you playing a council of elders trying to get the people of Atlantis to build this portal and escape before the tides destroy your entire civilization. I really love the artwork in this game. I love the cooperation. I love that it plays high player counts and low player counts really well. And my favorite thing about this game is the actual gate that you're building. So the gate itself is made of components. Once you build all the components, then you can leave. But the components themselves provide either one-time bonuses or spaces that you can actually go to impact the game somehow. I love that the components themselves also scale to the difficulty that you play. So if you play an easy game, you're going to play with A's, B's, and C's. If you play a hard game, it's D's and B's and C's, or a lot of D's and a couple C's. And the difference is the building costs. So the more expensive components require more stuff. The harder components require more stuff, but they provide really cool effects too. So it makes you kind of want to jump into those higher difficulty levels because some of the components are just so fun to play with. So I really like Atlantis Rising 2nd Edition. I can't wait for the expansion to it, but I'm really happy with what it is now. Hands down, one of the best co-op games. This is Atlantis Rising 2nd Edition. Next up, we have Res Arcana, a little cooperative game by Tom Lemon, one of his easiest to play, I think. This is a game where you play a couple of mages, and it's a race to 10 points. You're going to be casting artifacts and spells and getting magic in order to claim these places of power. Ultimately, it's a race, and I think it's done so well. You're going to be using these cards in order to generate resources, in order to activate abilities, in order to claim these point cards, and generate an engine all in one. So it's really cool. Everything is set up at the beginning, and my favorite part of the game is the cards themselves. So there's a variant that I recommend you play with, is the drafting variant, where you'll be getting 8 cards, and this is your whole deck. It's just those 8 cards. So your job is to look at the setting, figure out what your plan is from the bat, and craft your deck in order to meet that plan. Now your opponent's doing the same thing, so you might be going for the same thing, which has happened a couple of times, and it's just whoever does it best, right? Maybe you have to pivot in a moment, you've planned for this thing, and now your cards have to gear them for something else. So I really like that. You're probably going to see all your cards. The decks are only 8 cards. I really like that small deck building, and your cards can be used for all sorts of things. So I really enjoy Res Arcana. This is a great engine building game. I can see why it won so many awards. That's my number 75. My number 74 is Alter Quest. So Alter Quest has beat out its brother, Street Masters, for being the better cooperative game. I love that the system is a lot more refined. There's a lot less edge cases and kind of things to check every turn, but I love the flow of this game a lot. I like that you're able to have this story that plays out during the game. I love the exploration of the dungeons. I like the different locations that you can go to. In Alter Quest, you play a group of heroes going on a quest, and the best part of it is you get to customize it as much as you want. You pick the heroes, you pick the quest, you pick the villain that you're fighting, you pick the minions that are going to show up. Super cool. I love the modularity. My favorite thing about this game, though, is the magic system. You use these dice and you roll them up. They have symbols that you can spend, and when you spend them, they go back into the pool. You roll them again. And this is where the twist comes. You can use them to be as strong as you can, but every time you roll them, there's a chance they become a symbol or a magic type that the enemies want to use. So do you let them stay where they are and don't disrupt the magic, or do you use them and get that power and potentially cause a cascading chain of events that will eventually let the opponent do all of their crazy things? So I really like Alter Quest. This is my 74. My number 73 is Kingdom Rush, Rift in Time. Kingdom Rush is a tower defense game where you are going to be shooting at these incoming hordes of enemies with polyomino pieces, so small little Tetris pieces. I really like this style of game. The cooperation in here is very fluid. As your player, you're only allowed to build on specific spots that are your color, and each player is going to be passing tower cards to one another, and every time you do so, they upgrade. So that's one of my favorite parts in this game, actually, is the tower cards themselves. When you use them, you either play them on the board to shoot at the enemies, which is that's what you should do, right? Pretty intuitive. You'll shoot at pieces and you put them on your building spots, but if you don't use them, you pass them to your opponents. So they get more tower cards, and those tower cards upgrade. So when they upgrade, they become better, they become stronger, and they can hit more things because some of the enemies require you to have specific levels of tower cards or better. So I really like that decision of, do I need to get that now, or can I wait? Can I put it off? Can I do the best I can with kind of biding my time and powering up these cards? So it's a lot of timing, and I really like that aspect of this game. My other favorite thing on this game is the heroes. The heroes are just a lot of fun. You can use them melee, ranged. It's cool to see how their powers interact with one another, and the artwork is adorable. It's an app game, but I've never played the app, but this game itself is just a lot of fun. So this is Kingdom Rush, my number 73. My number 72 is a much smaller game. This is Rumble in the Dungeon. Now, this game is so high up because I play it a lot, and I really enjoy this. There's a lot of quick thinking to this game. There's a lot of bluffing. It's a game where you play as these little tiny characters in a small little dungeon. You're moving around, and your goal is to survive. Nobody knows who your characters are, and that's the fun of it because you can control every character. So you're going to be running around this dungeon, taking out different people, and trying to survive yourself over 3 rounds. Whoever accumulates the most points at those 3 rounds is the overall winner, and you get points based on how long you survive. My favorite thing in this game is the random assigning of characters and the random creation of the dungeon. You can create situations, and normally what the person who lost the last game set up the dungeon, it's become kind of a running joke. Oh, you get to build a dungeon. But it's fun, right? You get to build whatever dungeon you want. You get to set up the pieces. You don't know who you are. Nobody does. And people can play in ways that might suggest that there's certain people, certain characters. It's a lot of fun. I think this is one of my favorite, obviously, this is one of my favorite bluffing games. I think they did such a good job. The dungeon mechanic itself has a little treasure chest that you can add to just kind of spice things up. It's very easily removable as well if you don't want to use it. So I really like Rumble in the Dungeon, one of my favorite little quick filler games. My last one on this list is my number 71. This is Abyss. Abyss is a game of underwater, I guess, command. You're going to be recruiting these lords, and each time you do, you'll affiliate these underwater allies to your side as well. With the expansions, there's also some cursed black pearls and these krakens that live around the depths. I like this one. We painted the miniatures so much. I like this one so much. We painted the miniatures. Fantastic card game. I love that you're always invested on every player's turn. There's a mechanic in the game where you're going to be going fishing, and when you fish, you reveal cards, but you're never the first one to claim the card. It always goes to the person on your left, and they can pay you for that card. So people are always excited, like, oh, come on, get something that I can actually use. And my favorite part of this game is actually the fishing mechanic, because I'm actually not very good at this game, and the fishing mechanic is the thing that I have the most trouble with. I'm not sure when the best time is to go fishing, or when to grab cards, or if I'm being greedy. It's really cool because there is a lot to think about whenever you take a turn in this game, but the turns are so quick that it evens out. It's a pretty awesome game. I really love the artwork. I love the theme. There's a soundtrack for it here on YouTube if you go look it up. So when you play, you can have the Abyss soundtrack playing as well. I strongly recommend this game. Abyss, fantastic. So that was my list, my 80 to 71 for today. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. So I really like all these games. Now, once again, all these games are sitting at 8s for me right now. And as we go forward, we'll get into the 9s soon. So thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Side Game Strong.